OneKeyers. As many of you already know, LDC, the Listing Data Checker, is going to be going live April 1st. So it's important for us to understand what our options are if we do find ourselves in a situation where we have some kind of violation. Now, I will provide more screenshots and I will provide more content surrounding what this actually looks like. But for now, I wanted to walk you through a flowchart so you have a better understanding of what's going on behind the scenes and what your options are. So if we do find ourselves in a situation where we have a violation, we will of course be notified. And at that point, what we'll do is we'll log into our Keystone dashboard. Now, Keystone is where you may have purchased lockboxes or assigned your EULA. But what it's going to have on the left-hand side is a new tab called Compliance. That's where you're going to go to see any violations that you have and any outstanding invoices that you have. If you do find yourself in a situation where there is an invoice generated because of a violation, you do have the option to dispute that violation. And you do have 30 days to dispute that. And that dispute could come from the listing agent or the broker of record. Now, if those 30 days elapse and there is no dispute filed, that invoice becomes final and you have 30 days to make that payment. If you do decide, or your broker of record decides that, yes, I would like to dispute this violation, you'll log right into Keystone. On every listing, there will be on every violation, there will be a dispute button. Now, if you don't see that button, it may be because that violation in question must be fixed before you can dispute it. If you do wish to dispute, click that button. What you'll do is you'll upload any supporting documentation, you'll provide your commentary, and you'll hit that submit button. Now, we may come back to you and say, hey, we need more information, we need more documents, we need more commentary. At that point, you would go through the same process and hit submit. After we've collected all of this information, we will submit it for an administrative review. And that's done by the Rules and Procedures Committee. Okay? There are two potential outcomes of this administrative review. The first outcome is that violation is waived. That invoice is written off, you owe nothing. The other potential outcome is that administrative review is denied. We will send you an email, you will be notified, and at that point, your broker of record can decide that they would like to request a rules violation hearing. And that has to be done within 20 days. If no request for a rules violation hearing is made within 20 days, that invoice is generated, and that invoice becomes final. It must be paid within 30 days. Okay? If your broker of record decides that they would like to request that rules violation hearing, that rules violation hearing is heard by the Rules and Procedures Committee. There are three potential outcomes of this rules violation hearing. The first one, that violation is waived, that invoice is written off, you owe nothing. Or that violation and that invoice are reduced. At that point, the invoice is regenerated and you have 30 days to make that payment. The other outcome is that rules violation hearing is denied. And at that point, the broker of record also has 10 days to request an appeal. And that appeal is in front of the Board of Managers. If those 10 days elapse and no appeal is filed, or the appeal is filed late, that invoice is regenerated and it becomes final. Again, you have 30 days to make that payment. If the broker of record appeals to the Board of Managers, the Board of Managers will review all of the information, and at that point, that appeal has three potential outcomes again. One, that invoice is reduced, that violation is reduced, and at that point, that invoice becomes final to be paid within 30 days. That violation could be waived. That invoice is written off, and at that point, you owe nothing. The third potential outcome is that that violation or that appeal is denied. And at that point, there is a reissue of an invoice that becomes payable within 30 days. At any point within this process, you'll see on the left-hand side here in green, the broker, not the listing agent, the broker can withdraw that dispute at any step in the dispute process. And at that point, again, an invoice is reissued and that becomes payable within 30 days. Now remember, I will create more content around this, but I want you guys to have an idea of what's going on behind the scenes and what your options are if you do find yourselves with a violation. Remember, the listing agent can file that initial dispute. Every other request or every other appeal must be done by the broker of record. More to come.